Welcome back to the channel, and won't you look at this? Australia looks to be getting active. And what did I say? When it comes to two of the bank coins, XRP and Chainlink, keep your eyes on Australia. Well, we know Ripple has a lot of connections in Australia that over the years they've tested things there. The banks were satisfied. Don't worry, we're going to jump into that with some particulars. Chainlink, in recent years, Chainlink has been doing well in Australia, but that's not a secret because Chainlink's been doing good everywhere as far as business. And once again, I don't understand why Chainlink isn't more bullish, you want to be honest. But look at this. This article is titled, Reserve Bank of Australia Plans Wholesale CBDC Trials on Public and Private DLTs. Now understand, what they do is going to affect all the other banks. All of them. Many of which Ripple has a connection to. Now let me read this little tidbit and then we'll jump into some of those particulars I was talking about. It says Project Acacia. So now you can look it up. Project Acacia is an Australian initiative to support the settlement of tokenized transactions using stablecoins, tokenized deposits, or pilot wholesale central bank digital currencies. It was first announced in late 2024. As with the previous digital currency pilots, it is a joint project between the Reserve Bank of Australia and the Digital Finance Cooperative Research Centre, DFCRC. The securities regulator, ASIC, has provided some regulatory exemptions during the 6-month span of the project. Okay, so we're going to have to wait and observe and see what happens. But wait a minute. It says there's a little bit more here. I didn't even see this. One of the most notable aspects of the WCBDC is that the WCBDC will be issued on a range of public and private blockchains and DLTs. So a lot of bank coin companies are going to get their chance to feast. Then they give just a few examples. This is not the whole list. Of course, it's not everyone, but it's a part of it. But isn't this interesting? It says, for example, Australian Payments Plus is a participant on the Hedera public network. See, you learn something new every day. HBAR is one of our bank coins, one of my bank coins. Hedera is one of those companies I think is going to do something wonderful in the future. It may take a little bit of time. When, I don't know, but I just know the potentiality is there. That's what I know. And they're active in Australia too, apparently. It says, apart from Hedera, the DLTs, the pilot include Red Belly Network, R3 Corda, Canvas Connect, and other EVM compatible projects. All right, that's not what's important here. I want to show you this. Let's go here. Look at all of these connections that Ripple has in Australia. You have Airwallex, right? You have Novati Group. You have Westpac. You have ANZ. That's one of the ones we covered years ago. ANZ Bank, Australia, and NZ Bank. And you have Commonwealth Bank of Australia, just to name a few. There's one more, I swear, that it's in the back of my mind. And I can't remember what that bank is. This is just giving a few examples, all right? But it shows you all the various connections. Ripple is knee deep in Australia. Now, once again, we have to cover this aspect. With the entirety of the globe fragmented, China does not want to use the US dollar. They're part of BRICS. The US doesn't want to use the yuan. They have a battle going on for currency dominance. Europe is trying to figure out what they want to do with the euro. We've heard them speak about it, right? They don't sound so confident, especially when they were talking about stable coins. Look all of this up that I say. You don't have to take anything I say. You can look all of it up, right? But they were questioning how U.S. stablecoin dominance would affect the euro and what they're going to do. So you have all of this fragmentation is what I'm trying to show across the globe. How do they all interact? They would need a bridge currency, one, and they would need liquidity, two. It's just a fact. They don't have to tell you that. They don't have to make you more bullish. They don't have to help you make a huge amount of value. Once again, it's not financial advice. I'm just speaking the truth. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, right? It's just the truth. They don't have to help you do that. They want to make money themselves. They're in it for themselves. albeit, by the very nature of these currencies, those few of us, there's only a few, it's not a whole lot. There's 8 billion people in the world, folks. There's not a whole lot of you and I's out there. But we few just happen to be perspicacious enough to be in early. And this is definitely early. My apologies, something in my throat, like dust or something. Now, you even know we're in early because now the Bitcoin analysts and researchers are saying that. I've never heard them speak like that before. That's stuff that we, the Bitcoin companies, say. Did you see the article yesterday where they were saying in one of those Bitcoin articles, I'm just going to touch on it lightly, that, when it comes to Bitcoin, we're still in early. Really? Is that so? That's interesting that they're coming to that conclusion now. It's not just Bitcoin. We've been saying that about the bank coins, the utility coins for quite some time. It is still early. It is. But now you see it's early across the board because now individuals and entities alike are beginning to see the potency of crypto. There's a lot there. And the big companies want to make money this time. That means the prices have to go up astronomically. They're not here to play a little tiny money game. No, the retail, they saw what retail did. Did retail do well with crypto or not? Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Countless millionaires made. And even people that didn't make $1 million, they made 500,000. Some people made tens of millions of dollars. It doesn't matter. People made a healthy amount of value, retail, off of crypto. So now, if that's the case, and those are regular people and regular companies, what do you think the massive companies and these big money individuals plan to do? They plan to take it to the top, all the way to the top. Oh, yeah. Now, let's go back here. I want to show you that because if Australia is becoming active, watch them closely. So now we know Australia is becoming active. We know the UK is becoming active with that Bank of England activity. Look at all this activity that's going on. This is a lot to take in. And one thing I want to emphasize, don't let them bury this type of information. The UK information came out about the Bank of England and everything that they're doing. We know they have deep ties with 2 Bitcoin companies, Quant and Ripple. Very deep relationship they've developed over the years. Then all of a sudden, more news comes out and that news just goes away. Now this news is coming out. Australia is getting active. We got Ripple there, Chainlink there, Hedera there. That's 3 bank coins. Let's see if people keep up with this news. I definitely am going to try my best. Now, okay, let's bear with me one moment. I'm going to pull up this, see if I have this document, which I should have done beforehand. It's a busy week. This is the first day. You guys doing well out there? It is Friday, right? I've lost track of time. I've just been running around busy the entire week. This was an unbelievable week of activity. I'll tell you that. And today was the first day where I'm actually getting to relax and just rest. And I'm having a good time. You see, I feel real nice and relaxed in the video today, thinking clearly. All right. So now I want to talk about that fragmentation. This is what they say, okay? This is what they're saying. I'm going to give you this information. Look it up. Challenge everything everyone says, including me. I want you to see with your own eyes. There's no way around them needing the liquidity that we can gather, needing the interoperability. This is what it says. Navigating fragmentation, siloing, and liquidity challenges in global banking. The global financial system is currently grappling with escalating challenges stemming from increased fragmentation. But we know that because Christine Lagarde said it herself twice this year. Why wasn't anyone else paying attention to that? I mean, I know you and I are. Out there. These big time article writers. They just glossed right over that. That told, when she said what she said in that speech about fragmentation and siloing, that should have been a bell. I wish I had a bell around here to ring. That should have been a bell. Ding, ding, ding. There's a problem. Now the Fed wants to change the rules for the banks. Did you see that article? Look that up right now. Google or whatever you use. Feds want to loosen rules for banks. It's not the first time they've talked about it, but in the last 2 days, they came out with another article about it. They're serious. Why? Why? When only last year they were talking about tightening up on the same banks that they had to take to court for violating the same rules that they came down on crypto about, but the banks were actually doing it. Why? What's going on? Something's going on. And they don't want the people to know about it, but you and I do. So here, same thing Christine Lagarde was saying. Internal organizational siloing. How do they connect if they're silo people? How? You need a connector piece. They fear siloing, and they should. They're disconnected. What connects them together? Maybe a bridge currency, maybe a network, a RippleNet, a Hedera, an Algorand. It doesn't make a difference. A conglomeration of them, like how Ripple's coming together with Hedera, and they're coming together, and Ripple's coming together with Cardano. Maybe a conglomeration comes together to help them connect. But either way, they can't get around it. You only get that through the native tokens. Bridge currency, liquidity tokens. That's it. That's what they were made for. Why did they make them? How did they have the foresight to make sure that those were key aspects of those mechanisms? Why? How? They knew. They did their research. I told you. They were going around for a long time, scooping up every brilliant mind that they could. And with brilliant minds, you get foresight. They're thinking 10 steps ahead. They're thinking into the future. Not one pathway, but a multitude of pathways. They don't think like others. They don't. And they saw the flaw. Fragmentation. Countries going one against the other. They don't flow with each other any longer. That system is breaking down. The fiat currency, they ran it into the ground. Internal organizational siloing. And persistent liquidity restraints. Weren't they just talking? We just read an article about the liquidity problems a short while back, didn't we? Right. How, folks, please tell me this. How do they get around the liquidity problems? What can gather a massive amount of liquidity, providing a liquidity cushion or life preserver? Native tokens, correct? Okay. Do stablecoins do that? Absolutely not. No, they don't. I ask again. I want to provoke thought. You know, when you're just trying to start a fire, mentally or physically, you don't rub the sticks together one time and poof, there's a flame. No, you rub those sticks together a bunch of times. And then there's a little bit of smoke. Then you blow on the smoke. I believe that's how it goes, right? Because oxygen feeds the flame. You blow on the smoke and you have a fire. Remember, we used to do that as children, go out there into the little areas, the parks and the little wooded areas and rub the sticks together. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yes, you did. And we learned to start a fire. So that's what we're doing here. Gold. That's the sticks. We got to rub them together. Liquidity, that's the sticks. The siloing, that's the sticks. And gold, we're going to start a fire. We're provoking thought here. Why are they running to gold? And I know they have their eye on silver. A couple of them dipping their toes in silver. That's why silver goes up and it goes down. It goes up a little bit. What's provoking that? What's provoking that? It certainly is not usage in the industries. Why are all of them coming out so bullish on silver in the future, of course? Future, what do they know that we don't? Once again, the utilization of either platinum or silver in all of these various things, from the windmills to the electric cars, as of right now, from what I'm seeing, is not enough. They've dialed back on that a bit. It's not enough to provoke the bullishness that a lot of these entities are coming out and talking about right now when it comes to silver. Why? Maybe they're aware of the problems that cause these banks and big money individuals to protect themselves with gold, that there could be a collapse and everyone's going to go running. Bank runs, etc. At some point, who knows when? I don't know. I'm not an absolutist. I'm not saying this is a guarantee. I'm playing with thoughts, all right? We're brainstorming here together. And together, I want to say, take those strong hands, close them up, make two fingers, boom, 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 whichever boom you want, and hit that like button. You know I appreciate it. You know that. Wait, let me read a little bit more here. These interconnected issues are actively undermining the resilience painstakingly built since the 2007-2009 financial crisis. I love when they say that. It just washes, it's like they use it to wash over the incidents that happened in, what was it, 2023, SVB, Silvergate, all those banks then? Why not reference that? But okay, but you're not you, but them, they're not pulling the wool over my eyes. It says posing significant threats. I'm a little bit excited today. I feel so good. I got some rest today, folks. It's like I actually have a day off. You don't know. No, I'm not gonna say you don't know how to feel. You do know how that feels. I feel so good right now. I do. Anyway, so that's why I'm like, oh, I'm bouncing around. I have energy. No energy drinks or nothing. I just feel good. You know, you got to tell that to people. Sometimes I have energy. I'm out there in the world. People are like, you had an energy drink. No, when I'm feeling great, I'm just naturally energetic. Anyway, posing significant threats to global economic growth and job creation. I'm going to negate that job creation for a minute. Put that to the side. We can discuss that in another video. Threats to global economic growth. Let's just be real. They fear a collapse. They've also spoken about, and I wish they wrote about it in this report here, the contagion. Yes, I remember. Thank goodness I remember. Contagion. Constantly. I'm going to reference her again because she said this a lot. Why, over the years, has Christine Lagarde, and context is everything. So, yes, you can go. Those interviews are still up. Anybody can watch them. She's constantly talking about contagion in the banking industry. But another interesting thing I want to say before we get into this Bitcoin news. Does it seem, maybe I'm snappy. Maybe I didn't hear correctly. But a few times it seems like she's pointing fingers at what the U.S. is doing. Look at some of her previous interviews and statements. Read the transcripts. She'll reference the U.S. Together with the possibility of something that can cause contagion. Listen, folks, there's something wrong in the U.S. systems that they know about, but it's a small club. It's a small club that these companies and these entities, they want the value that's going to come from them at some point. In my humble opinion, I do believe is a huge possibility. You don't have to believe this. I only speak for me. Remember that. You don't have to believe this, but I'm just state it because that's what I believe, that they could hoard the bank coins like XRP. I do believe that. If it doesn't happen, I am capable of being wrong. I am but a man. We're just people. But there's no way that that XRP or HBAR, these types of bank coins, as an example, have so much potentiality and they're just going to leave it in the hands of the people. No way. And I anticipate at some point that there would, as a chess player, I just don't understand why they wouldn't attempt to turn the people away from these things while they gobble them up. They've been actively buying. Companies like Santiment have been reporting on it. That's just one. There's been like 3 or 4 companies, providing information on these big purchases over the last year of various bank coins. You have them trying to start, what do you call those things? The Treasury reserves, even today, not XRP today, but let me go to this. I didn't think we would get to this. Maybe this video might be a little bit longer, but I hope people appreciate the quality. I'm putting in that hard work for you, right? That's what you want. You should always want someone to give you more than your time's worth or your money's worth. I'm trying to give that to you. Everything I said, you can look up, all right? Investigate. So now, you don't have to agree with it, but maybe it might provoke thought, and maybe you'll find something in there that's valuable. Right here, Solana, that's what okay. Another bank coin treasury. Look, they're letting the people know. You think they're doing this for no reason. Bit mining surges This article is titled, let me put my hand up so I know where to put the article. And if I'm speaking a little bit quickly, because some people, they'll type to you very quick. They'll type to you. You got to slow down talking. I'm trying not to make the video too long. You got to understand, as a video creator, over the years, you hear a lot of things. I hear a lot of things. Some people say you're talking too fast at this time. Some people say the video's too long. You're never going to satisfy everybody. So I'm trying to find like that medium. I'm constantly trying to find homeostasis. You know what I mean? And there is a balance. There's what I desire, but I got to meet the people in the middle as well, right? So balance. This article here, Bit mining surges 350% on pivot to Solana. Pivot to Solana. Plans $300 million token treasury. $300 million. Do you believe they don't expect a massive explosion in price? Yes, they do. They know something. It's not because they're guessing. It's not because of simple research. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I've seen things in my life. These companies, they talk to each other. They talk. They exchange information. It's no different than sports. Everybody knew who was going to be big. You could see it when they're amateurs. Then when they have their first few fights, all the big wigs, they're talking, they're making plans. Oh, this person could fight that person. This person, we could put on this card. Then it's 8 to 10 years later, then they fight and everybody's, oh, it's legendary. This was planned long ago, talked about long ago. I'm not joking around at all. It's a game. It's a game. These companies talk like that. That's what I mean, in my opinion. They say, this is the one. We like it. We respect it. We expect it to boom because all our partners are going to buy into it. But let's scrape some off of retail. And then they begin their manipulations, their movements on the chessboard. I'm telling you. So anyway. So now let's get to this Bitcoin news. My father taught me how to play chess. That's why I think about it all the time. All the time. He sit me down and he show me, and I'm playing him and I'm losing. I'm not gonna. One thing you're going to say, Mick is going to be honest. I'm taking my losses for sure. And he's whooping me at chess, but he's teaching me not the game so much, but the psychology behind the game and how it applies to life. And I wouldn't say there's much more to life, obviously, than there is to chess. There's so many unknown variables, but chess is probably the absolute best game where you're applying psychological offensive and defensive tactics on such a limited board, which in a way becomes unlimited, right? Depending on your thinking, whether it's acute or obtuse. So that's why I think about it a lot. It's just things that my parents instilled in me. That doesn't happen for anybody else out there. It's just, I'm always running through those checks in my mind. So now, and it keeps me in line, keeps me hardworking, and keeps me grounded, stable. I'm just saying. So anyway, now, so if you're a parent out there, don't think that your words don't have impact on your children, because they do. They do. So, and I'm an example of that. So now, this article is titled, Bitcoin primed for $180,000 surge with Fed shift, debt spiral, and corporate buying. Who wrote this? News.bitcoin.com. Good job. I like that you ended that. Titles can be powerful, although they're very difficult to come up with after so many years. Good job ending it with that. Corporate buying. That is the major catalyst. They want in. And when people are going to be shocked. I know it. I get it. People don't like disappointment. They have a fear of disappointment. They've been disappointed before. It's left an impact. I'm trying to say it as nicely as possible. It has left an impact. And so they don't want to cross that road again, set themselves up, quote unquote, for disappointment. But if you're not bold, how do we conquer the forest? We need bold people to go out there into the forest to conquer new things, to find new things, to combine chemicals together and invent something new people can use. Everyone else is living in a tent and this person puts sticks together and builds a house. We need bold minds to go forward. What I'm trying to say is that the courageous win. The bold win. Yes, as high up as you go, you can equally fall that distance. No doubt about it. But you gain nothing staying in the same spot. You gain nothing without courageousness and boldness. Right now, when it comes to Bitcoin, it's a mental thing. Mentally, the bold are seeing what's there and not pulling back their verbiage, no disrespect, not pulling back their verbiage or their thinking simply because they're afraid to be wrong. You only speak for yourself. Make that clear. That's it. And speak your piece. Respect yourself. 180,000. You know why I say that? I saw the article, one of the articles that I read recently, where they were saying Bitcoin, it was something, I'm going to paraphrase heavily, but it was trying to say, like, there's not much time left for Bitcoin to be at the price it was like 4 days ago. Bitcoin could go down. You know, it was not good energy. Only for Bitcoin to do what it's doing now. So anyway, this article, I felt like all that was important. So yeah, this video is going to be a little bit longer, but so be it. Bitcoin primed for $180,000 surge. Bitcoin is primed for an explosive rally in 2025. So this is what they're saying. This is their opinion. As institutional demand, monetary easing signals, and fiscal instability converge to push prices toward $180,000. It continues. It says rising institutional interest, which means it's ongoing, folks. So now that we know, well, we've already discussed this, but now we're into this article. So let me touch on this lightly. Rising institutional interest immediately makes me question, well, how many institutions are in now, percentage-wise, are involved now? Okay, now once we have that information, we know how many institutions are not involved. Now we have some numbers to play with. Now we start to do the research. How many institutions are interested in getting involved? Now, just because they don't say it doesn't mean they won't get involved, but let's work with what they're providing as of now, right? Now we have more numbers. Now we start to estimate to ourselves using various, equations. Some people are going to put that stuff right into their computer and use algorithms. And we can say to ourselves, well, this is the price that I think Bitcoin is going to go to. I think anyone who takes that pathway is going to end up super bullish on Bitcoin. And once again, let me reiterate, I don't think things go on forever. No, I'm not a forever person, a perma, anything. At all. I understand and know and had the realization that change is the only constant in life. Why would I not apply that to crypto or commodities? The same. But because change is the only constant, I remain adaptive, if I could use that word, right? Adaptive, adjustable. And I'm going to say what I'm seeing here now with the understanding that over time it changes. Could get better, could get worse. But day to day, we're in this balancing act. That makes sense? Am I conveying what's inside my mind clear enough? So this is coming from Van Eck's head of digital assets research, Matthew Siegel. I'm going to say Siegel instead of Sigil. Stated on social media platform X on July 10th that several structural, economic, and policy factors are aligning to drive Bitcoin's next phase, he detailed. I agree with that. I don't know. I don't have a time frame. All right. I agree with the outlook on the potency of Bitcoin and the bank coins. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.